No, it's not a loving philosophy. It's a cult religion. It's filled with coercive control. Nothing is loving about coercive control. The people who are inside AA who are being coercively controlled and are in turn coercively controlling others just can't see what's actually going on, most likely. And so you think it's loving, but you're blind to it. Hello, welcome to Sobriety Bestie Podcast. My name is Kirsten. I am here in the woods today for another episode of Culty Comments, where we look at a comment that has come in to the socials and we deconstruct it so that we can get free. Remember, this is never about the commenter themselves. They are likely possessed by the AA ideology, or they are indoctrinated into at least some of it at whatever level of severity that is for them. And we are here waking up, so we're going to deconstruct it. This one's really short, but I think it's a shorty but a goodie. This commenter says, "The alcoholic death is worse than anything you can say about AA. I love AA, not perfection, but progress and life-saving philosophy of love and others paying it forward." All right, what came up for you? Anything initially? Drop it in the comments. Let's dive into this one. The alcoholic death is worse than anything you can say about AA. On the surface, I agree with that. Being alive, like an alcoholic death, and AA, if that was your choice, likely I think AA and getting indoctrinated into a cult religion would be a better choice, depending. Some of us might not take that choice now that we really know what it is, but let's assuming we're going to choose a cult religion like Alcoholics Anonymous instead of dying an alcoholic death. But that's not the only choice. This is like a logical fallacy. That's like saying you're either 3 years old or you're 80 years old. It's like, bro, what about the middle? What about there's other ways to get sober? What about there's other ways that are not harmful to live life? That you can graduate out of recovery, that you can get recovery, you can go to recovery through methods that were actually developed for recovery. Alcoholics Anonymous was not designed with sobriety or recovery from alcohol addiction in mind. It was literally pinched from a cult religion, the Oxford group. We know this. We've been talking about this. If this is new to you, I'll put a video up here where you can get started on the AA's real roots and why AA lies about its history, where it came from. AA, Bill Wilson literally got sober in a cult religion called the Oxford Group for the first 2.5 years of his sobriety. Dr. Bob was in the Oxford Group, and so was Bill before they met. They met because they were both cult members of the same cult religion. Dr. Bob was in that cult religion 4 years after he met Bill. They did not get sober in AA. There was no AA, obviously. It had to start somehow. It didn't start before they met, it started after. And so for me, learning the history of AA was super important in my deconstruction process. And there's still a lot that I have to learn. Little side note here, a little commercial. If you have any books that you recommend reading about AA that can help us wake up to greater freedom, feel free to type in the comments your favorite book about deconstructing AA or AA history, something that's really helped you get free. I'm totally on Team Freedom. So the idea that it's either AA or nothing, when I look at the AA history and I understand that it came from a cult religion and that the six founding core principles of the Oxford cult religion, Bill literally, he was riding a bus and took those with him. And on his bus, I don't remember if it was from New York to Akron or where he was going, but that's where he wrote the 12 steps initially. And he took the 6 steps and he thought that alcoholics, he didn't have a great opinion of alcoholics. He was very condescending. And he said that they're going to like slippery slope, like try to weasel their way out of work. So the 6 principles for Oxford Group cult religion seemed too loosey-goosey to him. So he made them more concrete and turned them into 12 to like lock in the process, the program for recovering from alcoholism, according to him. Now, y'all know I don't believe in the word alcoholism or alcoholic. I like alcohol use disorder. It's medically what we use in America. And so I prefer I prefer modern science over mythology, especially over cult religions. So an alcoholic death is worse than anything you could say about AA. Sure, bro, but how is that relevant? There are so many other options. There's so many other paths to sobriety. The majority of people who get sober, it's called like spontaneous remission. The most of the people who quit drinking do it on their own with no treatment at all. Some people go to treatment. The stats on treatment aren't very good. There's various different recovery paths and recovery programs. Most of them have to do with science, and most of them, I can't say all, but most of them were designed with sobriety and alcohol addiction recovery in mind. That means you're going to be talking about triggers and trauma and using modern science and models from the past 10 years or 20 years that we've developed through science and psychology and addiction recovery and all those things. AA is literally a cult religion that's been branded. I mean, a few of the words were switched, right? Like Frank Bookman, the cult leader for the Oxford group, he was talking about sins. Sins block you from God. So Bill Wilson did that for 2.5 years. Then he's like, all right, well, these drunks don't like this whole concept of God and religion and all that. So I'm going to change it. And he called it resentment. So your resentments are blocking you from God. So he took a cult religion path, a path to find a higher power. And I don't think anybody would argue that the primary purpose of the Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, as it says inside the book, is to connect you with a higher power. So 100% it's a religion. It's designed to get you to God. It's not designed to get you sober or to recover you from alcohol addiction. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't work for some people. We all know people who got sober through AA. I was one of them. Well, to be honest, I was done. When I was done, I was done. I think we have to have that moment when we're done. When I was done, I was done. And that's when I was courageous enough to be honest and ask for help and be honest with the help, right? And so then I went to rehab and I told the truth there. And then I went to AA and then I got therapy and then I tried all these different things. I learned how to meditate, did all this stuff. I got certified as a yoga teacher. Like I just went on this whole path of like, I don't know, like healing my mind, body, and soul. He continues, AA is not perfection, but progress and life-saving philosophy of loving others and paying it forward. I don't even know how to unpack this one. Really, we could go so many ways. To me, it's like, is that Pollyanna? Is that what that's called? Where it's just like rose colored glasses, pink cloud bullshit, like where everything is just great. You love everything. It's not perfect, but it's really good. It's life saving philosophy. It's a cult religion. If it's a life saving philosophy, then why do we all know somebody who didn't make it, who literally is no longer alive, who was inside Alcoholics Anonymous, who was being told all the baloney, like misdiagnosed, told not to get outside help, told that all their problems were alcoholism or addiction, when really they might have had some like personality thing or trauma or neurodivergence or unresolved something or other. So, no, it's not a loving philosophy. It's a cult religion. It's filled with coercive control. We are coercively controlled into identifying as an alcoholic. Maybe not everybody, but I certainly was. Pressured high control in the group to conform for acceptance, and told if we don't that we're essentially going to die. Nothing is loving about coercive control. The people who are inside AA who are being coercively controlled and are in turn coercively controlling others just can't see what's actually going on, most likely. And so you think it's loving, but you're blind to it. When I was possessed by the ideology of Alcoholics Anonymous, I felt like, when I was a true believer, I felt like I loved AA. I felt like it was great. I never went so far as to think AA was for everybody. Some people say, AA, everyone should do the 12 steps. I'm like, bro, no, let's not convert everybody into a cult religion. It sounds horrific. But I never thought that even when I was in AA. I'm like, whoa. So, loving philosophy of others paying it forward. I just wonder how you reconcile in your mind that it's a loving philosophy of others paying it forward. Now, I did like sponsoring. I enjoyed it. I love my sponsees. I still have a relationship with the women that I was sponsoring when I left AA 5 years ago. I was sponsoring 3 women, and one of them for like 9 or 10 years, one of them for like 5 years at that point, and another one for several years at that point. And so I do love them. They're like sisters to me. And like one of them, I officiated her wedding. Like I have relationships with these people still. They're in my life. No, we don't talk about the steps or AA. But AA's philosophy isn't to lovingly pass it on. AA's philosophy is that if you don't work out your alcoholism, your untreated alcoholism on the spiritual and the altruistic plane, let's look at altruistic for a second. We know spiritual is that higher power. You need to get God, it's a religion. But the altruistic is the free labor, where for the rest of your life, you're supposed to sponsor people in AA. So it's not a loving program of paying it forward. It's free labor in a cult where you get coercively controlled, thinking that if you don't do this work, you're going to die. I did the work because I thought I was going to die. I did learn to love some of it. I did love some of it. I did love meeting up with my sponsees, but I was doing it not because I loved it initially. That's not why I got hooked into free laboring, essentially spending 10 hours a week in AA for 10 and a half years. I did it because I was told if I didn't, I was going to die. That's manipulation. That is not lovingly paying it forward. I think there's a little confusion on what coercive control is. And unfortunately, it's the ones that are doing the coercive controlling themselves are the ones that can't see that they are coercively controlling others. And they're the same ones who get a little bit assertive and bash the dissenters. They're dissenter bashers. If I'm an AA basher, they are dissenter bashers. And so they're the ones who are coercively controlling because they're sponsoring, they're speaking in meetings, they're proselytizing in the comments on social media, they're spreading the message of Alcoholics Anonymous cult religion. They're the ones who are, in my mind, doing the harm. All right, enough out of me. What came up for you during this video? Any ideas come to mind? Any memories? Any experiences? Let us know in the comments. The comments are always a vibe. So I can't wait to see you down there. If you want some more support in your deconstructing journey and you want a community to do it in, we have the Escape Kit. I'll link the Escape Kit below. It is a community of people who are deconstructing Alcoholics Anonymous, and it is resources in there as well with downloadable stuff. So if that's something that you want, go ahead, click below for the Escape Kit, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.